All right, eight pushers, it's the conclusion of the 1920s. On the outside, everything looks like it's nice, but underneath, well, things are not as good as you might see in, I don't know, like The Great Gatsby. The first thing you need to know about our President Herbert Hoover, president from 1929 to 1933, and a continuation of all these Republican presidents, is that the stock market is going to crash. It's going to crash, and this is going to have huge implications. You need to know that there are three causes of the Great Depression. Number one, overproduction by the farmers. Number two, easy credit, people investing in the stock market, and banks giving out money very recklessly. And then, of course, you have the stock market crash coupled with the Dust Bowl. Put this together, you have the makings of a disaster. Herbert Hoover has this famous slogan called rugged individualism. He is an orphan at the age of 5, I believe, 4 or 5, and basically puts a lot of emphasis on education and becomes a multimillionaire without corruption. And he becomes in charge of the food supply, and people think that he's going to be the best president ever. Unfortunately, hard work and hope is enough to get you by normally, but this is the Great Depression. This is the worst thing the United States has ever seen, and so it is not going to help the common people. He says, if you need help, rely on charities, rely on your neighbor, but the American Red Cross is out of money. Your neighbor is out of money. And so the big thing you need to know is that this does not help individuals. He doesn't see that as the government's role to give people a check every month. So rugged individualism, hard work, determination, you can make it. Unfortunately, it's the Great Depression and that doesn't work. The Hawley-Smoot tariff, this is what Republicans do. They jack up tariffs all the time. So this is what I like to say is the worst idea since the damn embargo. Basically what's happening is we have overproduced things, Americans aren't even buying our products, and now we jacked up our tariffs, and now Europeans and foreigners aren't buying our products, and this just makes the situation worse. It's a horrible idea, but there's really not a very easy solution to the Great Depression. Being as we have so many problems at home, Herbert Hoover goes to Latin and South America and said, it's called the Goodwill Tour, saying, you know what, the Monroe Doctrine doesn't apply. If you guys want to have crazy governments, if you guys want to have instability, that's your business. We're going to stay out of it because we have enough problems at home that we can't even solve. You guys are on your own, which is nice for a while, but then eventually we will send troops again. Number 5, Japan invades Manchuria. This is huge, this is massive, because this is the first test of fascism and the world doesn't do anything about it. Japan is going to be upset with the Treaty of Versailles. They are going to leave the League of Nations, and they are going to invade Manchuria, which is part of China. And you have Benito Mussolini watching this and says, oh, what's the League of Nations going to do about this? And of course the League of Nations does nothing. And so what you have is you have Benito Mussolini is going to mimic this. He's going to do the March on Rome, and that is also going to inspire Adolf Hitler. And so really, if you want to trace the roots of World War II, I think it really begins in 1931, not with the invasion of Poland in 1939, but in 1931 with the invasion of Manchuria. Scottsboro case, what you really need to know is it's a racial issue. You have blacks that are on a train, there's a fight with white people, women say that they were raped because they're prostitutes, and according to the Mann-Elkins Act, if you were a prostitute, you couldn't cross state lines, otherwise you'd be arrested. And so bottom line, people know that these 9 teenagers and people almost in their 20s are innocent, but they don't get a fair trial in the South. And some of these individuals are actually going to spend about 18 years in jail for a crime that they know that they didn't commit, and that America, for the most part, knows that they did not commit. And even one of the ladies comes out and says, I made the whole story up, I'm sorry, but these guys still serve jail terms. The next thing you need to know, 2 more things, and we're almost out of here, is the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. The Great Depression gets worse. People are like, Herbert Hoover, what are you going to do about it? And he says, you know what? I don't believe it's the government's role, but I think that I will do this. He gives big money to business, and he gives big money to insurance companies and railroads. And the whole idea is that it's going to start helping the economy, but you need to know that it does not give money to people. It does not give assistance to the average person, and the people are going to be upset about it, which is going to ultimately lead to 1932's the Bonus Army. World War I veterans are promised a pension in 1945, but they're broke, they can't feed their families, and so 20,000 of them march on Washington, D.C., so we want our money, we want it now, and Congress says no, and they say we're not leaving until we get our money, and then there's a fight with police, and so ultimately Herbert Hoover is going to send troops out. A lot of the people that you'll see in World War II, you'll see Douglas MacArthur in there, you'll see George S. Patton, you'll see Dwight D. Eisenhower. They're actually opening fire on former veterans. Current U.S. soldiers opening fire on World War I veterans. And so this is a disaster. It's 1932. It's also an election year. The big takeaway message is Herbert Hoover is going to lose election in a landslide. And FDR is going to come in and he's going to try to fix the Great Depression. He doesn't do it right away, and ultimately he fails in some aspects. And World War II is ultimately going to be the thing that gets us out of the Great Depression, not necessarily the New Deal. We'll talk more about that later. Have a great day. Make sure you're studying your notes 20 minutes a night. It really will help out in the long run. Have a great day, guys.